LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, will they be teammates next season?
We're talking about this again.
Chris Haynes reported Monday that Kyrie Irving prefers the Mavericks to acquire LeBron James. Now, it's important to note that Jova Buha from The Athletic said it would take more than Tim Hardaway Jr., Bertans, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy, the 10th overall pick, and a future first to get LeBron James. After that, a flurry of reports came out. Lakers are uninterested in bringing in Kyrie Irving. That's number one. And Mark Stein reported that Kyrie Irving has consistently expressed a desire to remain a Dallas Maverick. It's possibly because they can pay him the most money, 5 years, $272 million, because they have his bird rights. Now, what do you think about, Kyrie Irving just saying, listen, I want to get LeBron to Dallas. He doesn't want to go to L.A.
What do you think, Drew?
First things first, this shit isn't happening. LeBron is staying in Los Angeles. This report, if anything, right, if we really want to throw a wild card in there of why this report came out in the first place.
Long as hell, dog.
Yeah, bro's lanky.
Just peeped his foot.
Anyways.
Guys stretching the table.
Shut up.
Okay. Oh my Lord have mercy. If anything, you want to throw a wild card in this whole discussion would be that LeBron James wanted this report to come out so that we could really put pressure on the front office to get Kyrie Irving in the building and make him a Los Angeles Laker. LeBron James is not leaving. LeBron James just signed an extension this offseason, to remain a Los Angeles Laker for 2 more years. I just don't see a world where he leaves. And it's also understood that this team was finally put together let's be real, beyond the halfway point. Then this team was put together, and then we started to finally figure things out towards the end of the season. And then, of course, the playoff run is the playoff run when we played really, really high-level basketball. Why wouldn't we just want to run it back and have a full year of continuity, a thing that we have not had since that 2020 to 2021 season, where if we remained healthy, who knows what would have happened, of course, but I don't like to live in what-ifs. So, realistically, why am I going to entertain the idea of LeBron James going to leave again, especially after this contract extension that he just signed, to go join Kyrie Irving, a person who already had a desire to leave LeBron James in the first place? We understand that Kyrie has come out and said, I handled that wrong, that very poorly, of course, taking the mature route of it in the end, in hindsight. But again, I understand. It's Kyrie, it's Luka, it's LeBron. The idea sounds fun, but realistically, what you're asking LeBron to do, and what you're asking the Lakers to do, is trade LeBron James. And you want LeBron James to request a trade off the Los Angeles Lakers. It's simply not going to happen. That's really all I have to say, because I'm not entertaining.
I saw you tweet out you don't want it to happen.
No, but that's only for the fact because I don't want to root for the
super
Mavericks.
team?
I don't want to root for the Warriors. I don't want to root for the Spurs. These are teams I don't want LeBron James to go to.
Teams that beat him.
Correct.
Embarrassed him.
But all in all,
because
okay. It's really just the Mavericks. But ultimately, I want LeBron James to stay a Laker. I want him to retire a Laker. I see that we were pretty damn close to going to the NBA Finals at the age of 38 years old, with playing through a torn ligament in his foot. So, is it insane of me to think that if we have some continuity, we try and just retool a little bit next season, that we could get better and ultimately reach our goal to reach the NBA Finals? God willing that the Los Angeles Lakers are a healthy team. It's not.
I hear you. There's a couple ways Kyrie and LeBron could team up. I think the last possible way is LeBron getting traded to Dallas.
Get the hell out of here.
I mean, the Lakers are just a team that just one of the best second half runs we've seen. Go to the WCF, and like you mentioned, the injury to LeBron James. And I don't understand why unless LeBron's coming out and saying, I do not want to be a Laker, why the front office says this is the time to blow it up when we just made the WCF, when you just had Austin Reeves average 20 in the conference finals, when you've seen these role players step up.
Generational efficiency.
When you see Anthony Davis have his longest stretch of health in the last however many years. I mean, he was healthy, for months, something you don't really see. So unless LeBron is done, which, I mean, Bronny just committed to USC, his family's there. It doesn't really make any sense for him to go to Dallas. Now, Kyrie to LA is possible, right? This is something we talked about the trade deadline when he originally was on the Nets. Could be maybe a sign-and trade. D'Angelo Russell probably necessary to make the money work, and I'm sure Lakers fans would be thrilled to have that happen. And the idea of having that big three of Kyrie, AD, and LeBron is probably very enticing, intriguing. I don't know where you stand, actually, if you prefer or if you'd rather run it back.
Oh, listen, you telling me I get an upgrade at Kyrie Irving You take out D'Lo. I get Kyrie Irving. Sign me the fuck up. What are we doing
And
here?
the only issue with that is obviously the depth that's going to be behind them. You'd probably still be able to bring back.
We lose Rui. We keep
Reeves. But then you still got to think, we're having these conversations with Jaylen Brown, the Celtics. Once you get to that upper echelon of cap, you get a lot more restrictions, right? You can't use the MLE. You can't trade, future first round picks. You could basically only do 1-for-1 player swaps where the money matches up. So if you do, I know, I'm surprised the owners, accepted that. So if you do end up making the move for Kyrie, of course you get more of the superstar power, but you are giving up some of that flexibility down the road. And I think what this finals has shown us is that you don't really need to have all the superstar power to make the finals, right? You see the Heat, what they're doing with a borderline Jimmy Butler's top 10, but a back half top 10 player. Of course, the Nuggets have Jokic, but they didn't go out and trade MPJ, Aaron Gordon in pieces to get a third star, right? They kept their guys. So I don't necessarily know if getting the super team and giving up the depth is worth it.
That's
since
fair.
you have the depth and you already have 2 top 10 players.
I agree.
It feels like Kyrie at that point, I would almost rather have 3 or 4 role players who could play defense, who can shoot, who can play make, rather than just Kyrie Irving, who is obviously a great player, but can be unreliable at times. You don't know whether injury-related or off-the-court stuff is not always going to be there. Of course, when it's with LeBron, I feel like he's always more locked in. But I do think if there's any world it happens, it would be Kyrie going to the Lakers rather than the other way around, LeBron to Dallas. But if I'm a Laker fan or if I'm the front office, I am staying put with this roster.
Facts.
I'm paying Austin Reeves. I'm paying Rui. Maybe I make some, tweaks
Get
across.
me Gary Trent.
Yeah, exactly. Like Gary Trent or Norman Powell or someone maybe off the bench, a little bit more scoring, or possibly a point guard unless you want Braun or Reeves to run the point. But I don't think going and getting Kyrie is the move to make this offseason.
I look at this.
So confused.
What?
I wasn't gonna go next, but y'all looked at me.
When it comes to the Mavericks, it's going to be tough to build around Luka. It really is. Because I think they got themselves in a pickle.
Uh-oh.
And the big pickle is the fact that you traded for Kyrie Irving in the first place. The Mavericks trading for Kyrie Irving was the beginning of the end for the Luka Doncic era
Here we go.
in Dallas. It's that simple. They're not getting LeBron. That's one. LeBron's not going to ask for a buyout. They're not going to trade for LeBron.
Fuck no.
It's not going to happen. Kyrie has expressed interest in staying in Dallas for one reason and one reason only, because they can pay him the most money. If Dallas pays Kyrie $272 million for 5 years, if they give him the max, that's going to be the worst mistake in their franchise's history. We've seen how unreliable Kyrie Irving is since 2016. Whether it's him not playing good in the playoffs like he did in Boston, having his worst playoff series against Milwaukee, whether it's him not playing well outside of Game 1 versus the Celtics when the Nets got swept, or it's him being hurt or causing some type of controversy. The Mavericks have limited assets as it is. They have limited cap space because they're paying Davis Bertans and Tim Hardaway Jr. $17 million plus. Bertans doesn't even play. This is going to be a disaster. And the only way for the Mavericks to salvage what they currently have and hope to build around Luka is letting Kyrie Irving walk. As bad as that sounds, I know you traded for him, but let's be honest. Did they trade much? It's Dinwiddie, Finney-Smith, and a pick. They didn't trade much. The best thing they can do is let Kyrie Irving walk, because if he stays, Dallas is going to have no flexibility for the future. And 6 teams right now are above the tax apron, which means you are now restricted financially. The Bucks, Celtics, Clippers, Warriors, Mavericks, and Suns.
Makes sense.
Mavericks are the only team that did not make the playoffs. Now, this is what happens if you are over that tax apron. You can't sign a player to a mid-level exception. You can't send out cash in trades. You can't trade a first-round pick 7 years into the future or sign players on the buyout market.
That's so true.
Basically everything to make your team better throughout the season, you cannot do. So if the Mavericks sign back
It's
Kyrie
the Warriors'
Irving,
fault.
forgetting KD, it is.
No, that's not even exaggeration.
And for it's mostly for just
Yeah,
re-signing
for
all the
sure.
players. And I'll get to that in a bit. But the Mavericks, if they bring back Kyrie Irving, this is what the roster will be limited to. They have to bank on Josh Green and Hardy taking exceptional leaps. They have to bank on that 10th overall pick being very good. The best case for them is letting Kyrie Irving walk. I would not in a million years take a sign and trade for D'Lo, because D'Lo is unreliable as hell in the playoffs, and he's a cancer in the locker room.
Huh?
That's what he is.
cancer.
Where's the cancer in the locker room coming from? Years ago in L.A.?
Well, no,
It was crazy. I
Minnesota.
was just watching that D'Lo DeJounte argument.
How he left Minnesota was horrible. You have Alex Rodriguez going out in interviews saying that the first thing you got to do when you're building a great organization is getting rid of bad apples. He's talking about D'Lo because they brought in Mike Conley to replace him.
All the
We
Lakers
talking
players did was praise D'Angelo Russell.
We talking about the same D'Lo that during the playoffs a report came out that if he got benched he'd be unhappy.
That was cap.
I'm not taking that.
It was cap.
D'Lo, I think he's not great in the locker room, and I also think that he doesn't perform in the playoffs. He had 2 series in LA in the first and second round where he was good. West Conference Finals he didn't show up, and every single playoff series before that he did not show up.
He was good.
So
At
let's
least you
not
do that.
act like trading Kyrie Irving for D'Lo is gonna be a good move for Dallas. That'll be disastrous.
agree.
That'll be
I'm not
disastrous.
saying you're wrong.
The question I pose when it comes to this, when it comes to the salary cap, when it comes to these super teams, that's why I think the era of super teams is over. You have to draft all your stars. The question I pose is that, is it fair that teams are restricted this much financially? Because a team like the Celtics, Bucks, Warriors, that draft their stars and develop them homegrown and now have to pay them because their contracts come up. Is it fair for them to be restricted financially for good scouting, for good developing, for good management? It seems a bit too harsh. I understand the punishment for teams that are just trying to go out and buy their way to success, like the Clippers, for example. But for teams that are homegrown, it does seem a bit unfair, but it does even out the playing field in the NBA.
You said a lot.
It's either you say a lot or hey guys.
You know,
I'm just feeding all of this in because this is funny. This is a great strategic move by Kyrie Irving. Great strategic move by LeBron James. I also agree with you. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's very unrealistic. LeBron James, it's just certain players that don't get bought out. And LeBron James
Why is that
is
even an idea?
1,000% one of them. I do think Kyrie wanting LeBron to come to Dallas is very interesting because it shows a sense of, this is the only guy I can play with or I can win with. This is the guy that I should have. He understands that he should have never left a long time ago. So it seems like it's a bit of accountability.
I should still be in Cleveland.
In that sense. I don't think it's gonna happen. I do think Dallas is pretty much stuck. I think you're kind of in this middle position where, like, yeah, you have the 10th pick. What does the 10th pick look like next to a player like Luka?
Taylor Hendricks, who knows?
Possibly. And you also have to pay Kyrie Irving. That's a situation that, and like you said, you have a lot of dead money on the roster or
That's
just
true.
money allocated to players that shouldn't be getting paid that much money. And then Luka, we don't know if he's going to stay. This situation doesn't look like it's going to keep him in Dallas. It looks a little bleak and very unserious in Dallas right now. But in terms of the LeBron situation, LeBron's going to stay in LA. I think LeBron is 100% going to stay in LA. I do think Kyrie going to Los Angeles, they shouldn't do. You just went to the WCF. I mean, we could talk about y'all going to the WCF with role players. You look at the Knicks, also another situation. It was just Jaylen Brown and good role players.
Jalen
They went
Brunson.
to the. Oh, I'm sorry, Jalen Brunson.
He was
and,
so
and
close to
good role
going to the
players.
finals.
I wouldn't say that, but they was good players. Go to the second round. Miami Heat, another team, star role players to the finals. Like there's so many situations where you don't need to just crowd it up with a bunch of stars. You can just make it work with 2 to 1 star. A lot of good role players. They get hot at the right time. It happens. I do think though LeBron is gonna stay in LA, and I think you guys can build a really good roster around him. I think that's the most important part. And you got AD. He held up for as long as he could. And what we've seen in a long time, but we don't know if that's going to be consistent. Hence why you continue to build.
I don't want to hear this nonsense all season. Hey, can you rely on him?
We want to believe because he's a great player. We want to see him on the court, but that's why you continue to build good role players around him to keep, even if he's not.
Do you believe,
continue
Joel?
up? Continue
Do you believe
up.
that AD can stay healthy?
Cross my fingers.
Even LeBron too. LeBron's getting up there where it's like, yo,
Tragic, bro, because
Yeah.
he was so fire before the
he's
foot.
old.
But he was so
And now
good.
he's going to get surgery on his foot.
Good. I'm happy.
He's old.
Hey,
Tatum's
clear.
getting surgery on his wrist.
Huh? Who?
Tatum on his wrist.
Oh, dude,
see
good for him.
You heard it in the
Why does it?
last
Wait, hold on.
playoffs.
Wait. Why are you bringing it up?
We're talking about, I don't know, injuries. Off-season surgeries.
You're talking about the Lakers and
You
Dallas.
brought up Marcus
And
Smart
you,
straight.
yeah, I said I was wrong for that, and I apologize. Why'd you bring up Tatum?
Yeah, good. Love that.
Why'd you blame the Warriors though?
Because it's very obvious that they restricted the cap and anything you can do with your money because you're a super team.
But why is it our fault that?
Because it was Kevin Durant, it was Steph Curry, it was
Well, it's
Klay
not our-
Thompson, it
well,
was
they-
Draymond Green, and it was Andre Iguodala,
Well, whose
and you
fault
guys
is
ruined
that?
the game. You ruined the game.
We ruined the game.
You ruined
Kevin
the
Durant
game.
could have went anywhere.
Yeah, and I hate him.
Boston was in the running. Cleveland actually with
Should've
LeBron, they
come
were
to
also in the
Celtics.
running.
I actually take back what I said. I don't think Kevin Durant going to Golden State is what led to the CBA.
I don't care. I'm going to stand on that.
Kevin Durant going to Golden State
They took pay cuts.
it was just an upsurge in the salary cap that season, and also Bob Myers' foresight to sign Steph Curry to such a team-friendly deal is the reason why they were able to sign Kevin Durant.